Bonjour, comment allez-vous? This is the Crypto Kid podcast, and today we discuss Polymarket polls receives millions of suspicious dollars suddenly in the last 3 days, as well as Vietnam government embraces Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. So happy Saturday, everyone. Today is November 2nd, 2024. We have 3 days until the presidential election. And lo and behold, the Democratic cheat machine is in full operation right now. Donald Trump has been leading the Polymarket polls by 66% for the last 10 days. I've quoted it. Stephen Gardner has quoted it on his podcast. Fox News has joined in the fray. And even Donald Trump has floated that number of 66% by, but he also did it with a caveat on Thursday. He said, look, these people cheat. So watch out. And he was absolutely correct. We've heard rumors that little Billy Gates has donated $50 million to the Kamala Harris uh, campaign. And I guess it all ended up at Polymarket polls in favor of Kamala Harris. So we all know that Bill Gates is a tens tens in the millions billionaire with money to burn. So what does $50 million for Bill Gates matters if he throws it in the casino at Las Vegas? I also suspect uh, little Georgie Soros is also a part of this, throwing in his. He has money to burn, and he seems like whatever he wants, the American federal government gives it to him. So that's very suspicious. You need to watch everything that Bill Gates and George Soros, who are both of the same ilk, do. They operate in tandem. They are in sync. Everything that Bill Gates does, George Soros does. Everything that George Soros does, Bill Gates does. And you mix them together, and you get a bunch of poop. Okay, that at the end of the day, you get a lot of poo. You put George Soros and Bill Gates together, and you get a lot of stinky poo. That's how it goes. Now, moving on to Vietnam, the Vietnamese people and the Vietnamese government seem to embrace Bitcoin and blockchain technology. In fact, let's go to this article here. Vietnam releases blockchain strategy aims for regional leadership. That is the headline on Cointelegraph. Vietnam's new blockchain strategy focuses on legal frameworks, infrastructure, and international cooperation as it aims to boost innovation and build a thriving ecosystem. A lot of fluffy nothing. But hey, the Ministry of Information and Communications announced the strategy on October 23rd, outlining several key objectives to develop the country's blockchain tech capabilities. Let's look at the key action areas. Number one, perfecting the legal environment. Currently in Vietnam, you cannot use Bitcoin for transactions. However, transactions by with using Bitcoin are not taxed. So nothing's happening. You can't even do it, complete a transaction in Vietnam with Bitcoin. So perfecting the legal environment. Number two, developing infrastructure, forming a blockchain industrial ecosystem. Number three, developing human resources for the blockchain field. Four, promoting blockchain development and application. Lastly, number five, promoting research, innovation, and international cooperation. Those are some very ambitious strategies. I wish the Vietnamese government all the best. That is going in the right direction for Bitcoin and blockchain technology and cryptocurrencies because what 60 to 70% of all transactions take place online with some form of card. Okay. And if that's the case, that's a debit card or a credit card. So most transactions already, 60 to 70% of all transactions are electronic, digital. This paves the way for a digital currency with the right processing capabilities to take advantage of this desire as technology innovates and we get better and more smooth transactions with smart contracts. I believe that even though Bitcoin is the leading cryptocurrency, that Ethereum, since it's a smart contract, is very well poised to take advantage of breaking down financial transactions through smart contracts that are 100% transparent, where you can see what occurred, but it also allows governments not to tax, because you don't want to tax transactions. You want to take the Nevada approach that there's no sales tax on goods in the state of Nevada. Now, Nevada offsets that because it heavily taxes the gambling industry as well as the prostitution industry. So, therefore, if Donald Trump would listen to my proposal, he's already come out and proposed no capital gains taxes on Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, um, on Bitcoin specifically. But I'm proposing, like the state of Nevada, no sales taxes on transactions, whether they're products, goods, or services that are conducted with cryptocurrency and not just Bitcoin. If he, in fact, takes up that advice, then we're going to have to come up with some way to offset the losses that do occur as a result of not taxing sales transactions. I would be remiss, and I definitely do not suggest, because of my own personal views against gambling and prostitution. Well, like, hey, prostitution has been occurring since the beginning of time. And who am I to judge and stop in there and stop that? And in addition to that, who am I with my uh, Judaic Christian values to judge those people who do gamble? But we all know Jesus beat the people in the synagogue who were gambling in the church. And one would say, was it because they were gambling or were they doing it in the church? It's hard to say. But it is spoken of in Proverbs that to seek to profit by from nothing, to seek gain without effort, is a sin in itself. So you take it what it is. Um, I think that if Donald Trump takes my proposal and says, "Hey, we're not going to tax sales transactions, but we'll offset the losses by nationalizing gambling and prostitution," I don't think that that would put him in bad favor with a lot of conservative states, and I believe conservative states would fight and file lawsuits to say, "Hey, even though that's a national, even it becomes an issue like abortion, and Donald Trump agreed, hey, it shouldn't be up to the Supreme Courts; it should be up to the states to do that." And that way, Donald Trump could say, "Hey, I've signed an executive order that prostitution and gambling is now nationally legal. Therefore, but it needs to be done through um, betting houses, and I don't know what what do we. I have no concept of what we would do to create brothels that are regulated. The only thing we would be able to do, oh, that's easy. You just use the Amsterdam model, and he could put that out there. And then what's going to happen is conservative states are going to block gambling and prostitution, and then he'll do a executive order. Gambling and prostitution are now nationally legal, and it is up to each individual state to stipulate the regulations of that. And then boom, he's done. And then he could say, hey, you can't nationally tax any sales transaction that was conducted in cryptocurrency or blockchain technology. There we go, on the fly. Hey, Kamala Harris, you need to watch this podcast. You need to watch this video because you can learn from me how to think on your feet on the fly. I just came up with this, and I had to talk my way out of a corner because I don't support prostitution nor gambling. And but those are my personal religious Judaic beliefs, and I don't believe I can speak for all of humanity, and I am definitely in no position to judge all of humanity, because as Jesus said, he who has not sinned cast the first stone, and I would definitely not be the first person throwing a stone. So there you go. I'm transparent. I'm a glass house. I'm very open, and that way any as I become more popular and people attack me, hey, I'm just like Donald Trump. I like to be 100% transparent. What you see is what you get, and I know that you can never please all people, because you're always going to step on somebody's shoe, no matter what you say. And I faced this in the 10th grade when I transferred from public school to St. Patrick's High School in Vallejo. And I told my mother in the 10th grade, I said, not everybody likes me. And she said, that's not going to happen. I said, but I'm popular and I want everybody to like me. And she said, that's never going to happen. And I really struggled with that for a couple of months. I wanted everybody to like me. But now that I'm mature, I'm a grown man, that's just not realistic. So you have to be you. And that's what I would say to you, boys and girls, even though this podcast is not made for kids. When I say boys and girls, I mean you adults out there. Um, so don't take yourself so seriously. What we've seen also, I'm telling you just to recap as we sign out, Donald Trump has been leading in the Polymarket polls and election polls, which is a betting app, at 66%, and Kamala Harris at 33%. So he's been leading by 30 points. All of a sudden, in Polymarket polls in the last 3 days, we've seen tens of millions of dollars suspiciously inflow in favor of Kamala Harris. So that is a Halloween joke. We know that that's little Billy Gates and little Georgie Soros and any other billionaire Democrats with their left-leaning politics that are thrown. They have money to burn, so it is their prerogative. It is their right to throw their money towards Kamala Harris in the betting, just to create some fake media headlines for CNN and others to say Donald Trump is losing in the polls. He's not. He's up in the polls. What they mean is now we're manipulating and skewing Polymarket polls by throwing tens of millions of dollars. So it looks like Kamala Harris has a chance. She doesn't. She does not have a chance. This is why we don't trust legacy media. We don't trust CNN, MSNBC, NBC, ABS, CBS, NBC. We don't trust any of them. And now we don't. We no longer trust Forbes, Bloomberg Report, and the New York Times. And what that means for you guys out there right now watching this, create a podcast just like I'm doing, because the future, the next 2 to 5 years, is going to be most humans, most Americans are going to be getting all of their news content and information online through some kind of independent podcast with a guy like me sitting in my backyard, like Stephen Gardner in his office, like so many others who are at home with a computer or a camera, and they're going live streaming and they're just putting their information out there. They're not trying to put their opinions and false beliefs and try to propaganda the news. They're being independent, and I'm being independent. Like like me, I'm from the Bay Area. I definitely can see myself having a glass of wine and some good food at the French Laundry with Gavin Newsom or Kamala Harris. And let's be real, Gavin Newsom does not like Kamala Harris, and that's why you have not seen him campaigning for Kamala Harris at all. Why? Because he does not want to be associated with a losing side. Okay, so let's put it out there. You've seen all of this strange and weird behavior by Joe Biden. He's doing that intentionally because he hates Kamala Harris and now Barack Obama for pulling a coup d'etat. And he received 14 million primary votes, and he was still pushed out by Barack Obama and Kamala Harris. And he's never going to forgive them for that. So this election cycle is done. We know that Donald Trump will be named the next 47th presidential uh, inaugurated as the president, number 47 of the United States. We have to let all this garbage play out with the Democrats, who are very desperate and evil, and they've taken a demonic stance, and then they push out all this violent rhetoric. And here's the thing: this is when you know somebody hates you. When a person clings on your every word to misconstrue it in any kind of way, you know a person hates you and is out to get you. So if we put in the context, Donald Trump was having a sit down town hall meeting in the city of Phoenix, Arizona with Tucker Carlson, and Tucker Carlson just sat back like this and let Donald Trump speak. Donald Trump was very positive, jovial, happy. He wasn't belligerent in any way. He wasn't vulgar. He didn't say anything negative. What Donald Trump said specifically when it pertains to Liz Cheney is that her father, Dick Cheney, to pay off Halliburton, sent American troops who are mainly conservative and Republican this war and send off kids die. And while she was in Congress, she continued to send out people, whether it was to Ukraine, whether it was to Israel, to deploy American troops to Afghanistan. She voted for all of this. And what Donald Trump was saying is that if she had guns that were trained to aim at her, then she would not be such a warmonger. Meaning, if she had been enlisted in one of the armed services like the Army and the Marines, who are the first people to be boots on the ground, to have to go fight in Iraq and Afghanistan, to be sent right now to Israel. We have U.S. troops in Israel, in Ukraine, in Syria, in Lebanon, in Iran that are fighting, that have not officially been deployed by the president and have not been approved by Congress. So these troops are illegally being deployed under private contractors. And if you're in a military city like Tucson, Arizona, you already know planes are going out sending troops. You already know. I talk to a lot of people over the phone, and I'm just doing sales. I'm doing marketing and sales for different products online. And I'm talking to people in the service, and they're saying, look, I'm about to be deployed in 2 weeks. I'm like, what? We haven't declared any war. No, they're headed to Israel. They're going to be sent to Syria, Lebanon, Iran, or the Ukraine. And they're going to be sent by private contractors so that the Joe Biden Harris administration could deny that they ever sent them. And then because there's a process, the president can declare war, but it's Congress that approves it and authorizes the deployment of troops. None of this has occurred, but you and I know we have friends and family members that are in the armed services that are being deployed, that have been deployed over the last 6 weeks and will be deployed over the upcoming 6 weeks. And then there's been no federal authorization for this. And so now we're in a world where, and George W. Bush was the first president to send us into a war without congressional authorization. And that's something all Americans, Democrats and Republicans, should be upset about, because it is just showing the further breakdown of the U.S. government. And then now we understand why our economy is under $35 trillion worth of debt, because we're sending our troops to go over there and kill all these foreign people, shed all of this blood, and then they come back. They're mentally unstable, and then we can go, and then we as Americans are confused on why the rest of the world hates us. We American citizens are not fully aware of the stuff that the federal government is doing, the troops that the federal government is deploying in foreign nations, and the behavior that our military is taking actions through the direction of the president. And all of this behavior has been authorized. So we turn around and we look and we're like, Congress won't even help our economy. And that's why it is so important for you and I to understand finance, to understand cryptocurrency, blockchain technology. And the leading cryptocurrencies are Ethereum and Bitcoin. And then Bitcoin ETFs are beginning to be approved by the SEC, and meme coins seem to be the most popular in growth. So, with that, this is why I'm providing you with all of this free education, this free information that's unbiased. And I even have to watch every word that I say because I have artificial intelligent bots that analyze all of our videos and programs. And, if you say the wrong thing, they'll pull down your video and you get a strike. So, I'm trying to keep you educated and also make sure I don't receive any strikes against my program. But I'm going to tell you now, boys and girls, everybody at home, anybody whose eyes and ears are able to watch this podcast, the future is crypto. And you have a right to question your king, your president, your prime minister, your federal government, your state government. It is your God given right. Do not let these people take your rights away from you. The more you give, and there was a pastor today, an African American pastor I saw on a program. Let me pull this up for you. And this video is on YouTube. And if you go to the Devin Gibson show, this is an African American guy. He is showing you that a pastor drops the bomb on Kamala Harris in the Democratic Party, that shows and speaks specifically to how the Democratic Party has attacked Christians and African American Christians, the nuclear family, trying to push abortion on us, trying to push their agenda on us, trying to push all these issues that it's our right as humans to agree or disagree, but they are attacking us. They're attacking the family. The African American family has been all but destroyed. Nationally, 40% of all African American children are born to wedlock, which means 60% of all African American children nationally are born out of wedlock where their parents were never married and may never marry. If you go to the city of Chicago, 80% of all African American children in Chicago are born to parents who are not married. And this is atrocious. This is an epidemic. And we see this. Um, a child should not be raised by one parent, whether it's a father or a mother. You need a mother and a father to be a balanced human. And that is why it takes a father and a mother to create a child. This was God's plan. With that, I'm going to end it right there. This is Daniel Plummer, the Crypto Kid. Get out there and vote, fight for your rights, and remember the future is crypto. Fight, 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 and we're going to win, win, win. The future is crypto.